Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to stick to Sweden and we're going to have a look at another brewery who I have never tried anything from before, and it's always interesting to introduce you guys to new Swedish breweries, of course. For this review then we will head up towards the Stockholm area and we're having a look at my first beer from Unibärsum Bryggeri. This one is their Alien Structure and it's an IPA coming in at 6.5% ABV. So this was one of two beers that they released as part of the local and small scale league assortment on the 1st of April 2020. You will see me review the other one in a few videos time, the Space Pants, which I think will be very nice, going by the hops in it, and hopefully this is one that lives up to the lovely artwork that it seems to have. So yeah, 6.5% IPA this one. Not sure exactly what type of IPA it's going to be, but hopefully it's a good beer, and as I say, always nice to introduce you guys to new Swedish breweries as well. So let's see how we get on with this one then. Very much looking forward to this review. So as always with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery before we taste the beer. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my future reviews that I'll do from Unibärsum Bryggeri. This is the very first time I'm trying one of their beers, of course. There's all the usual social media down there too. If you want to see more reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel, of course, has a geography-based tagging system, so you can go into the homepage and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlists of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Swedish beers that I've reviewed for you. That's constantly being added to, and as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, on to my brewery notes then to tell you a little bit about Unibärsum Bryggeri. So Unibärsum Bryggeri, as I mentioned to you already, are based in Stockholm. And the company was founded by Joachim Bergman and 6 partners. So Joachim had been a home brewer for a number of years and he brewed with quite a big group of friends, but apparently he was the one in this group that it stuck most with. So he founded the company officially in 2013 with some of his old home brewing friends and then expanded it in 2015. And I think quite a few actually, of the kind of founders or investors in the company, if you like, are active in running it too, which is quite cool. So these guys started their first brewery in Skärbsnäck, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, which is in the south of Stockholm, and they started with a 200 litre brewery and 4 200 litre fermentation tanks. In 2018 though, they joined forces with the PKLK brewery, who moved into their premises and brought with them a 500 litre brew kit, and they have their own set. Both breweries, of course, are brewing out of the same facility, but they do have separate tanks actually, kind of the same as what goes on with the likes of Morgendagens and Wizard Brewing and things like that down in Gothenburg. Over the last few years they've continued to build their capacity and try and build up their name and things like that, and now, as of April 2020, they've produced just over 50 types of beer. I'm not quite sure, and do correct me in the comments section below if I'm wrong, but I think this is one of the first releases that they've done through Systembolaget. So on the 1st of April 2020 they released this one, the Alien Structures, and they released the Space Pants as well. I think these might well be the first releases that this brewery has done through Systembolaget, but they do have a good number of beers. I mean, they've produced 50 different kind of beers, but there are quite a few breweries in Sweden who only release through restaurants and things like that in the early days, because it is still, I think, a little bit difficult to pass the paperwork stage and get your beers into Systembolaget. Once you're in, it's a lot easier to get your beers out there these days, from what I understand. But yeah, another new Swedish brewery, another one of course that takes its roots from home brewing, as many of them here in Sweden do, but yeah, hopefully the beer lives up to the lovely artwork that they've got on them. I was impressed. That was one of the things that I think caught my eye when I saw these beers listed. So yeah, and the fact it was a brewery that I'd never heard of before. So yeah, that was all the information I was really able to find on Unibärsum Bryggeri. I will expand the notes, of course, as time goes on, but yeah, let's get on and have a taste of this one then. I'll just let you have a little look at the artwork before we open this beer up. As you can see, it's like a kind of alien pyramid thing. There are, of course, those people who think the pyramids at Giza were made by the aliens. Maybe they were onto something, who knows. But yeah, this one is really nicely presented. I do like this. I know that my friend Peter over at the Clueless Drinker, he's a big sucker for beer can art, as am I to a degree. I always like the metal band album covers and things like that. I always enjoyed heavy metal artwork, so it kind of translates a little bit to the beer. But Peter, I think, likes all these kind of retro designs and the minimalist designs and stuff. He's quite into that. But there you can see on the back there is the Unibärsum Bryggeri symbol, and yeah, really, it's quite, you know, again, this is quite minimalist, but I think it works very, very well. So as I said to you, this one is a 6.5% IPA. I'm not sure what type of IPA it is, right enough, but the hops are Cashmere and Citra. So Citra, we know, is a lovely big kind of mango-y hop with kind of lots of different complexities, lychee, you know, gooseberry, some papayas. It can have, you know, lemon and lime depending on what you mix it with. Cashmere, of course, is an American hop. I think it's from, if I remember right, that's another one from Washington State. But it gives you a lot of lemon limey qualities, but it can also give you some really interesting melon things as well. And I have noticed that Cashmere has been building in popularity a little bit in Scandinavia. So yeah, that's an interesting point to make about this. My first encounter with Cashmere, I think, it was either with Green Gold Brewery from Slovenia, or it was with the Duvel triple hop beer, actually, with their Cashmere version. So yeah, really nice looking can, this one. Let's get it out and into the glass. I can't remember how much I paid for this beer. It might have been around the sort of 40 or 50 crown mark, something like that. But again, when you think about, you know, the prices of these in Systembolaget compared to other places, I think it's quite good. You can smell the melons off this right away. Cashmere. But yeah, it says on the back here, does it say that this one has this one, it's got wheat and oats in it, so I guess to some extent it will be a New England IPA. But we'll see how we get on with this. So yeah, as you can see, this is poured really nicely. Look at that. That's almost the same colour as like a Munich Helles or something like that, a slightly hazy Munich Helles. Very, very bright yellow, this one. You can see there's a solid quarter finger of a frothy white head on this one. It is a little bit bumpy in fairness around the edges. You've got some bigger bubbles there, but yeah, just surprised at how bright this one is. There is a degree of transparency to this beer. This one's got about the same level of haze that you might get from a West Coast IPA. Like I say, it says it's got corn malt, wheat malt and oat malt in it, so I'm not sure exactly what type of IPA this is going to be. There was one of the two, I forget which one, was supposed to be a wheat leaning IPA. Maybe both of them are, maybe they're kind of similar, just with slightly different hops and things. But this looks very, very nice. If you shine the light through this, it becomes a very sort of pale golden straw type colour as well. But this one is really quite it is quite nice looking. I do like how this beer goes together. It's very, very nice. But yeah, it looks the part. As I say, the surprising thing about this one is that it's very, very bright, and it looks a little bit more like a kind of West Coast IPA, but nothing out with the realms of possibility when you consider what style of beer this is. And you know, it's always interesting talking about possibility, alien structures. We've got the different telescopes up in space now, looking at different things. The Discovery telescope and all of this. There's a new one just went up recently. I need to read up about that. As I've told you before on the channel, by trade I was a chemist first, a spectroscopist, and then I moved into to astrophysics, molecular astrophysics, astrochemistry. So it's something that's always interested me. These, you know, there are these weird things that they're finding now that look like big alien structures. So yeah, interesting. So yeah, as you can see, nice looking beer. Let's look at the aroma and see how we get on then. Oh yeah. So straight away with this one, the thing that's going to jump out at you is the citrusy quality of this beer. Definitely, you know, the lemon limey note is really quite pungent there. You can smell that the lemon lime is a bit more pungent, I think, than the melons. You can get a little bit of the melon kind of sitting around the beer, but you can get the wheat out of the malt base here as well. I think it may well have been this one that was supposed to have been wheat leaning. But yeah, the aroma of this is pretty damn nice, I have to say. So straight away, I mean, let's talk about the malt base, then we'll move on to the fruits. We always do it that way. We start with malts and move to hops and fruitiness. So straight away with this one, you can smell that nice kind of white bready base to the beer. This one doesn't smell overly creamy to me. I would guess that it's probably only a little bit of oaty quality that's in here. But yeah, smooth kind of white bready wheat. It smells very kind of light and wet, but it also you know, it also smells a little bit biscuity as well. There is a wee bit of a biscuity quality to this one. Yeah, no, I would say, yeah, there is a wee bit of that kind of biscuity McVitie's digestive sort of thing to the aroma of this beer. It's a very straight up malt base. I mean, as I say, you've got the white bready wheat. The wheat doesn't have too much astringency either. It almost smells like a bit more of a kind of grainy type wheat rather than having the almost kind of astringency that you can get from it sometimes. Smooth white bready wheat, a little bit of a kind of digestive biscuity note, and you can also pick up just a wee bit of that oaty kind of quality there at the front of the nose too. So yeah, I really like how this goes together actually. Yeah, it's definitely more of a grainy wheat. There is almost a little bit of a kind of farmhousey quality to this beer as well, and I guess that might be the yeast strain. You get a little bit of that woody vegetally kind of thing. You can smell a little bit of that towards the back of the aroma. It kind of reminds me a little bit of the Heady Topper. As I say, when I reviewed the Alchemist Heady Topper ages ago, now 2 years ago, something like that now, but when I reviewed that for the first time, it was I think that actually was a year ago, telling you lies, but I think that one was, I was surprised at how farmhousey that beer was, and you do get a little bit of that vibe from the kind of malty yeasty side of this one too, a little bit woody, a little bit vegetally, and you know, a few other things going on with this too, but it smells very, very nice, this beer. Onto the hoppy side of things then. On the green side of the hops, for me, it's quite floral, this one. You do have a little bit of zestiness to the floral character as well, a little bit lighter and grassy. Yeah, I would say that the green side of the hops in this one really is floral more than anything. You do have a bit of those lighter grassy notes at the same time, but yeah, it's mainly a nice kind of floral note that you get. This is not too spicy, but just quite bright. On the fruity side of things, as I say, this one to me, it strikes me as being quite lemon limey, and as I say, Citra can give you some of these things as well. In the background you can get a bit of the juicy mango that you expect of the Citra, and you also get some of the kind of more oily melon note out of there as well. But I find this one, it really is, for me, it's the lemon lime that is most prominent in this one, the lemon and limes. The mango comes out a bit more towards the back of the nose, and further forward from that you have a bit more of the kind of melony notes. So yeah, I mean, this is quite a, I would say that the aroma of this beer compared to some of the other ones is quite mild in some ways, but it's one of these ones I think where it's all quite subtle and it all just pieces together, but hopefully in the flavour of the beer it does turn out to be very, very nice. Aromas can often be quite different from the actual flavours of the beer. So let's have a taste of this one then and see how we get on. This is my first beer from Unibärsum Bryggeri. This is the Alien Structures, coming in at 6.5% with Citra and Cashmere hops. Let's get stuck in. Sláinte, skål. Yeah, okay. First impression is, this is really quite drinkable. I mean, if I compare this to, I think this is definitely quite wheaty leaning. If I compare this to other beers that I've had in Sweden, it actually reminds me in a lot of ways of some of the Malmö Brewing Company beers that I've had. Yeah. It really reminds me of these, it really does remind me of the Malmö ones a bit. You can see it's got a little bit more hazy now as I've put the bottom bit in it, so maybe there was a good bit of sediment in this, but it does taste, pardon me, it does taste pretty fresh actually. Ah, there you go. Feels a little bit thicker now, so do make sure, maybe turn your can, if you have one of these, turn your can upside down and let the sediment thing sort of circle into it. This is more like it, because before it was very, very light actually. But yeah, let's break down the flavour of this one a little bit then. So straight away with this beer, in the middle of your palate, you can feel that nice white bready, wheaty quality. That blankets the middle of the tongue. The wheat on this one, as I said, in the aroma it came across as being a little bit more grainy, but in the flavour it's actually got a little bit of kind of astringency to it. You get that lovely smooth, white bready, wheaty kind of quality, which is very nice. I like how this, I do like how this goes together actually. You get more as you go further and further into the aftertaste. You can feel just the citrus, that almost citrusy, astringent quality of the wheat just pushing its way up. If you move further forward on the palate, you will pick out a little bit of an oaty creaminess there. If you go towards the back of the palate, you can feel there's a little bit more of a kind of bitey, peppery almost type quality to the wheat. So it's interesting how you get these two different qualities out of the same material, if you like. If you go to the very centre of your palate, you've got a bit of a kind of sweet, biscuity sort of note out of the beer. It is very much like that kind of McVitie's digestive sort of thing. It's a little bit like that. There's not really a kind of thick caramel or anything, mainly a kind of, as I said, a little bit of a kind of biscuity digestive type quality. I would say that I'm surprised from going, this is one of these ones as well where the aroma gives you a little bit of the kind of farmhousey impression, but the beer itself is actually quite very, very smooth, to be honest with you. As I said earlier, it really reminds me of some of these ones that I've had from Malmö Brewing Company that are very smooth and very light and drinkable. So yeah, this one gets a thumbs up from me. I like this. This is quite, this is a really nice, it's one of these New England IPAs that you would describe as, well, it's not, I don't know if you can really describe this as New England. It is one of these ones that is just really, really solid, and I think it's fair to probably describe this one as a wheat IPA. It really does lean towards that wheaty end of the spectrum. So nice light drinkable wheat IPA, and that's an interesting point. I mean, for quite a while you were getting a few white IPAs and stuff, which I think evolved to be the wheat IPA. You know, the white IPAs really evolved into the New England IPAs and then disappeared. You know, the original wheat IPAs disappeared. So this is quite an interesting one compared to some of the others. But the wheaty side of this, it really does work well with the hops that are in here. But the malt base, I think, is fairly straight up. You've got the wheaty base, you've got a bit of biscuit in the middle of the palate. It's a bit more kind of bitey and almost peppery at the back of the tongue. Then if you come further forward, you can just get a wee bit of smoothness out of the oats. It's quite straight up in its malt base. It's not overly complex actually, but that suits what this beer's going for. In the back corners of the palate, we'll move on to the hoppy side of things then. There is a wee touch of earthiness, but not very much. As you come further forward along the sides of the tongue, you do get some nice kind of floral aromatic notes out of this then. Round the very front curve of the palate, pardon me, it's a little bit lighter and grassy, and you've also got some of the you've also got some of the kind of zestiness from the citrus fruits in the beer coming out very nicely as well. But yeah, if you want a nice big kind of citrusy beer, this one's going to suit you down to the ground. But yeah, for me, fruity side of this one is pretty nice actually. So as I always say, the juicy fruity esters in a beer, they come out in that little oily bubble behind the front curve of the tongue. So for me, if you go towards the back of that oily bubble there, you get this, you do get the citra coming out more, but you can get, there's a little bit of a kind of, there is a little bit of a, there's almost a bit of a passion fruity quality in there. You do get a bit of that darker tropical fruit. As you come further forward, it gets more mango-like, but then as you reach the front half of that fruity part of the palate, it's really lemon-limey. The melons, I think, it's interesting, the melon almost feels as if it's kind of infused throughout the whole part of that fruity side of the beer, but then as you reach the very front edge of the tongue, it's quite zesty. It really leans towards that lemon-limey blend of flavours, which is very interesting. I like how all of that kind of just blends together and goes together. It's very, very nice actually. So this one gets a thumbs up from me. I like I do, every so often I do like a more kind of citrusy beer, and I think it is fair to describe this one as a sort of citrusy, wheaty kind of thing. Birds are going crazy. Shush. But yeah, this one is this is nice. This gets a thumbs up from me. It's a very sessionable beer, this actually, and that's what I like of it. It's quite a sessionable, citrusy, wheaty IPA. I think that's a fair description of this one. So you know, this makes me want to keep an eye on the Unibärsum Bryggeri, because it does remind me to an extent of you know, the stuff I've had from the Malmö brewery just down the road, and of course you've got Fjäderholmarnas. This reminds me of the Yarrow Yarrow IPA that I had from them quite recently. But yeah, I like this, very drinkable. I'm curious to see what the other one's like, actually, come to think of it too, because it's got, I think it will be a bit more tropical. I think it's El Dorado and Citra and something else. It's in that, maybe Mosaic. But yeah, this is a nice beer. In terms of the mouthfeel then, this is quite light-bodied. I'd say it's at the top end of light-bodied, maybe very bottom end of mid-bodied. Carbonation has a bit of crispness to it, which is nice. And overall, I'd describe this beer as being quite smooth, but there is a little bit of wetness. It feels quite clean, this beer, in that sense. It's got a little bit of that kind of clean wetness to it, which is nice. In terms of hoppy bitterness, I think we're looking at a fairly standard sort of 30 IBU mark here. The wheat might give you a bit more an impression of a slightly higher bitterness, I think. It's maybe fair to say that. But the malt base, as I say, quite smooth, a little bit bitey towards the back of the tongue. A little teeny bit of sweetness in the middle. But yeah, mainly quite smooth, and you've got a nice kind of big citrusy, zesty quality to this beer. This isn't one that's going to blow the head off you. It is more just a kind of nice, drinkable beer, this actually. So yeah, if you want a nice drinkable kind of citrusy leaning IPA, this is one that I think will suit you down to the ground. It's not one of these big kind of juice bomb things. This is more of a sort of sessionable type beer, in my opinion. I don't really session beers anymore either. I don't really drink very much outside of the beer reviews that I do, but I do like this one, and I will be keeping an eye on this brewery to see what they've got coming out. So yeah, let's leave it at that for this one. This one was the Alien Structure, an IPA at 6.5% with Citra and Cashmere hops from Unibärsum in the south of Stockholm. What was the area again? I've got my notes still there. Where is it? Yeah, from Skärpnäck, if I'm pronouncing that rightly, to the south of Stockholm. But yeah, thanks again for watching my beer reviews, and I hope you guys have enjoyed this one, the Alien Structure from Unibärsum in Skärpnäck in Stockholm in Sweden. Until the next time, slange just now, and I'll catch you guys later. Slange, skål, cheers.